Howdy, howdy.
Man, you are beat up.
I'm fine.
Are you sure? You don't look fine.
I'm just fine. I'm fine and dandy.
You know? Right now, this is the first time you've done a shirtless podcast, if everyone could see it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Just without a shirt. That's okay.
Honestly, the fact that we don't have a camera, I was like, you know what? I'm going shirtless today.
And you know what? I don't blame you. Maybe we should just do a secret shirtless podcast and no one would know about it.
That would be a good idea. So we got our bear fact for you today.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, get on.
If you eat a polar bear liver, you will die because human body cannot process that much vitamin A. Their liver is so full of vitamin A. If you ate the liver, you would die that day.
But what is it? You can eat their gallbladder?
Gallbladder.
The gallbladder is the really
valuable one.
Yeah, with a lot of money.
Yeah.
What was that other bear fact that you were talking about earlier?
Human pollution has caused...
Wait, hold on. Human pollution.
That's what I said.
Okay, I know. I was just lay it out there. Just lay it all out.
Human pollution has caused the average length of polar bear penises to shrink.
Just polar bears.
Just polar bears.
Not any other kind of bear.
I don't know how those two correlate, like what pollution and penis size.
I was just saying,
how can you measure that?
I don't know that you can say that. Maybe you can. And if you figured it out, I'd like to know how you figured it out. Because that is...
that is an interesting line of work.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to see how pollution affects polar bears' penises. That's what I'm going to figure out. So this is going to be a pretty lax podcast today.
I'm tired.
Yeah. I'm sure that you got tired like within the last 30, 45 minutes. So right before we were going to start, we have two dogs and we have a cat.
One dog is a Staffordshire Terrier, and if you know what that is, a pit bull.
You can say that and people were like, "What? He looks like a pit bull." Like, yeah,
That's what it is.
He's a pit bull. He's kind of, I would say that he's almost runt-ish. He's not that big.
Yeah, he's on the smaller side, but he's lean, like straight muscle.
Yeah, I think most pit bulls are that way too.
If you ever hear Staffordshire Terrier, that's just the genetic name for a pit bull. Pit bull is just the mix of the two dogs. You know, like a bull and a pit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, bull and pit.
But yeah,
so we have a Chihuahua,
as well,
and pit bull, and then a cat. And the pit bull and the cat don't like each other.
They do not. They've gotten into it twice before, and it has ended not super ugly. It could have ended uglier the last two times, but they got into it today again, and I was the only one there to stop it. So I picked up Reese from the back legs, and I kind of held him upside down.
Yeah, Reese the pit bull.
Yeah. And I kind of held him upside down, and it really helped with him not having like dominance or like power to be able to be over the cat. And
so you just grabbed him and flipped him upside down?
Yeah. And then Mom ran out and just like punched him straight in the face.
Just punched him in the nose?
Yeah. And he let go. Cat ran away.
He got her leg?
Yeah. He got her back left leg. Nope. There was a small puncture on her chest next to her front left leg, but she's going to be totally fine. I would say out of all of this, I might be the most injured, but...
You look the most injured.
I'm fine.
That's probably why you're not wearing a shirt right now.
Probably. I can't put a shirt on, but...
Like you can't use your hand to put on a shirt?
My right hand is handicapped right now, yes.
Yeah, it looks pretty cut up. But it's funny, you didn't get attacked at all by Reese, the dog.
I know. I was trying to help the cat, and the cat's like, nah, fuck this guy. And the cat just went to town on me.
She was scratching you and biting you?
Scratching me, biting me. Like, you know how, like, when cats get their claws stuck in, like, fabric or something like that, you can see it, like, pull the fabric up?
Yeah.
It was doing that to my skin.
Oh,
and I was
gross.
just watching that, like, I'm on your team!
And she bit you, and not only did she bite you, she bit you through your nail.
Yeah, my index fingernail has a giant puncture hole because her I can't remember what the tooth...
Canine?
Yeah, the canine tooth just went straight through my finger, and that shit... I don't know if it went out the other side.
I mean, if you were to show both sides of your index finger, I would say probably they're almost in the same place.
Yeah, it looks like the tooth just went straight through my finger, but... I'm okay. I just won't be able to use my hand for a few days. I'm not worried. I'm left-handed anyways.
Yeah, so the cat seems. I mean, I didn't see her. I mean, did you see her?
Yeah, I went and got her out of the woods, and then
Where was she in the woods?
she was right behind the deck.
Oh, okay.
She was just sitting there mewing.
Mewing. So she seemed fine.
Yeah, she's okay. We're gonna get her some antibiotics because the first time that they ever got into it, she was fucked. Like she was in a very bad condition just because whenever she got bit, she was really fat whenever it first happened. So she got an infection in her fat. And whenever you have a bunch of fat, blood doesn't flow to your fat in your body for anyone. So whenever you have an infection in your fat, that's just a field day for that infection.
Hmm. And so it's interesting how cats can get sick with puncture wound infections so easily.
Mm-hmm. They're
And
so susceptible.
yeah, I mean, I guess they don't have any kind of immune system to fight off a puncture wound.
Another thing is
At
like,
least house cats.
yeah, whenever cats start getting into fights or whatever's going on, they piss themselves and shit themselves. Whenever that was over, you bet your ass I smelled like the inside of a cat.
I saw your shirt. You're wearing a white shirt.
White shirt covered in blood and cat shit now
Where's that shirt right now?
on the floor of my room. Which now that I think about it, I kind of want to move it so my room doesn't stink. But
You should probably throw it in an Instant Pot full of Tide Pods and turn on the Instant Pot.
or just throw the shirt away. Just throw the whole thing away.
I mean, it's just a white shirt.
Yeah, you can get a pack of 5 for $10 from my store.
Yeah. Or just go to Goodwill and get a bunch of $1 white T-shirts. And it's funny, too, because you were just trying to skateboard for whatever it was, 10, 15 minutes.
I wanted to skateboard for 15 minutes before we shot the podcast, and Brandt was like, hey, let Reese out. And I actually saw the cat on the back porch before I let Reese out.
And I did the same thing, too.
Whenever I let Reese out, I went and hopped back on my skateboard. I didn't do another trick, and it just clicked in my mind. I was like, wait a second. The cat and the dog are face to face right now, and I walk around the corner, and they're just having a standoff. And I knew if I made any kind of like sudden gesture, that whenever animals are having standoffs or anything like that, whenever something fast happens, they kind of just have a dynamite explode in their brain, and then it's Action Jackson.
Was she whacking him?
Oh yeah, she was smacking him. She smacked him and then jumped over the back of the chair and tried to run away, and he like got on top of her and trampled her, and then that's when I came in and flipped him over and held him in the air. Where were you? I yelled your name at the top of my lungs.
I thought I heard something.
You thought you heard something? I was screaming as loud as I fucking could.
I was sitting there and I was like, I hear something, and I can't tell what it is exactly. But what I heard first though was Mom's voice when she was yelling. And I was like, oh wait, something's happening. I think it has something to do with the cat and the dog. And
Were you on the back porch?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, oh wait, the cat's outside too. And I was like, oh no. And then I came out and you were hurtled over the sink trying to wash off your body from all the fluids that were attached to it and coming out of it. And
yeah. There's just the one crazy thing. One of the most interesting things to me is the human body. The human body is absolutely amazing. Like if you read into it and study it, the human body will fascinate you, or at least it does for me. And one thing that I'm getting at with this is adrenaline. Whenever she was biting me and pulling my skin,
you didn't feel anything.
Didn't feel a thing. But as soon as I stepped inside, I was like,
yeah. You weren't feeling anything at all, like no pain.
The whole time it was happening, my mind was just like, get the cat off the dog.
Wow. I know that feeling too, that it happens sometimes, especially when you're, I don't know, outside doing something stupid, or you're, just doing whatever. And all of a sudden, let's just say you get stabbed by something. That's happened to me before. Like I've like stabbed my hand like on a fence or something. Mm-hmm. And it happens and I look at it, I'm like, that should hurt more than it does right now.
At it and you're like, that doesn't even hurt. What the fuck? Right.
Like this is definitely going to hurt more in a second, and I know it's going to come, but right now it doesn't. So I'm going to prepare myself for this pain that's about to roll through. Isn't it funny how pain comes in waves?
That's the one. I'm not a bitch about pain, but whenever it's like throbbing pain, where the pain like it hurts every like 5 seconds, that annoys me, and then the pain will get to me. But
yeah,
whenever like getting hit in the ribs by an 85-mile-an-hour fastball.
Let's just say 90.
I could take that no problem. That it kind of just knocks the wind out of you for a second, but I don't know. When blood gets involved and punctures and cuts, kind of a different story.
Yeah, just gross. Man, you look disgusting. Go put a shirt on.
No.
Well, yeah, sorry that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Wish I could have been there to cheer. Yeah, cheer from the sidelines.
For some reason, my thumb is really sticky.
I think it's just blood. Nice. Very nice.
I didn't actually lick it. I just made the sound.
No, you did. I watched you. You were just saying that.
Shut up.
So, that's great now. That happened. So, what are you doing with the rest of your day?
I'm going to go smoke some pot.
Are you going to, like, wrap your hand up at all? Because your finger looks really swollen. At least your pinky does.
Yeah, my pinky is pretty swollen. I can't bend it more than this much. I know the listener can't really tell, but it's like about 10 degrees.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big believer, but I'm not big on Band-Aids.
Are you gonna, well, you have to.
Band-Aids?
Yeah, so you don't get infected.
I drink hose water and eat my boogers. My immune system is fine.
Yeah, you say that. Then all of a sudden you got a staph infection or something growing on or gangrene. Actually, I don't think that's how you get gangrene, but
Gangrene.
Gangrene.
Okay, there's I'm
gonna spell it for you.
My favorite wrap, like cigarillo to smoke, is by Game, and it's the greens. Gangrene is fine.
Gangrene. It's spelled Gangrene.
Okay.
Basically,
Gangrene.
it's basically where dead tissue gets infected, or there's a lack of blood flow somewhere. So basically, just total necrosis of whatever is going on there. So gangrene would be a bad deal. Usually just has, I don't know why I said gangrene, but it just has to do with usually a lack of blood flow to an area of your body. So you're probably not going to get gangrene, but you could still get infected. And if there's definitely puncture wounds in your hand, you should use a Band-Aid so you don't get it infected. And did you wash your hands?
Yeah, as soon as it happened, I put hydrogen peroxide.
But that hurt?
Mom did. No, honestly, I didn't feel it at all. I was staring at my fingers bubbling, and I was just like, I don't feel this.
Isn't it odd how it'll bubble, like inside of your cuts?
It's like sizzling.
Yeah, it just looks like it's cooking. Just cooking your cuts.
Yeah.
And then that's why you put a Band-Aid over it afterwards. Because then the last thing you want to do is get an infection.
I'll cover up the big ones.
Yeah, I think the little cuts are fine. I mean, I cut my hands on a daily basis. I cut my hand like right here today. I mean, it was just severed my finger when I was at work. It just happens. But man, what a day. What a day for you.
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny. Before all of that, I had one job to do today. I just had to go switch out a bad contact on a door. And so with weed plugs on Snapchat, they've actually been cracking down on them.
What do you mean they've been cracking down on them? Like Snapchat's been turning them in?
Monitoring, yeah. And they're like really cracking down on, because plugs all just post, I got this strain, show some dab, whatever else they got, shrooms, whatever. But I snapped my plug and I was like, yeah. I've been practicing my greetings, and I was like, hey, fool, what can I get for $40? And he said, text my line.
I don't get that. When people say like hit my line, what does that even mean?
Phone number. I texted him on Snapchat.
So line just means a phone number. I mean, like, I'm not old or anything, but it's just I've seen people say that, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, whenever someone says text my line, they just mean like text my number. And so he said text my line. I just texted him, hey, fool. And he responded. We worked out a deal. And right after I had coordinated with him that I was going to go to his place and pick up some weed, I get a call from Dad, and he's like, hey, I need you to help me pick up Busha from the hospital. And I was like, okay, I can help. And so...
Busha, our grandmother.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot to clarify that. But on the way there, I was just contemplating. I was like, okay, do I go pick up Busha and then take her home and then go get weed and then go back home? And I was like, nah, I'll just get weed before I go. So I picked it up, and I'm like, my plug is like literally 2 minutes from where Busha was. So I went down the street, and normally I have a bucket in the back of my truck for trash, but I didn't have a bucket. I'm in a rental right now, and all I had was my tool bag. And I was like, okay, the weed's not sitting inside the car while she's in here, because it's a concert of how loud that weed was. And so I just took my tool bag, put it in the tool bag, put it in the bed of my truck. And while I was sitting in like the bus loop kind of thing of the hospital, like where you pick people up, there was a cop, and he was standing like 10 feet from my truck. And if you like leaned over and just got a whiff of my bed, like the bed of the truck.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous. I was super nervous.
I bet you were.
That he didn't walk 5 feet my way. But everything turned out well. Yeah, I just can't wait to smoke. I want to.
Man, you've had 2 close calls today.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
But
Take over.
to your talking point about where pain comes in waves, I was thinking the last time I ever had like real pain coming in waves that I can think of vividly was just one time I jammed my thumb playing baseball, and I was probably catching or something, and it was swollen, and all I could really do was just try to ice it, keep the swelling down. And so I got a cup, filled it up halfway with water and halfway with ice. So it was just like really cold water. And so I would stick my thumb inside this cup of water, ice water, and I'd keep it there. I mean, it was frigid cold. It was super, super cold. So it hurt putting it in. I had to keep it there. It was really cold. And then after about 10, 15 minutes, I was like, okay, I'll give it a break. Because I was usually like on 15 minutes, off 15 minutes. So I'd put my thumb in, let it ice for 15 minutes. I think it was 20. And I take it out, and immediately just throbbing pain from my thumb being so cold and then starting to warm up after not being in the water. And then it felt good to put it back in. I couldn't take my thumb out of the ice water because it hurt so bad. Like it would come in waves. Like my entire thumb was throbbing. And it might have something to do with the swelling a little bit too, but oh my gosh, that was really painful. That sucked. I probably had my thumb in there for too long. I probably isolated it a little too much in that cup of water. But yeah, it got really cold, like really, really cold, just all by itself. And then when it tried to assimilate itself with the rest of my fingers, didn't like it at all.
Do you like ice baths?
I think I've taken one before.
You've taken one ice bath?
Well, we didn't really do them. We didn't do them in high school, and I elected not to do them in college because I was like, F that. I am not doing that. And we weren't required to. Because the pitchers, our coach didn't make us do that, but he made the position players do it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to go to the trainer and get a massage. I'm good. And that was like, because normally when people would go to the trainer, they would actually get, cupping done or scraping or something that wasn't very pleasant. I would just go in and get massages, and it felt really good. I was like, yeah, my arm's kind of sore today. Can you get that spot right there in my rear delt? That'd be really great. And I'd always try to get the same trainer. I think her name was Keisha. She was great. She always gave you the most wonderful massages. But then the legit, I think she was a student. She was like a student trainer. But then the legit trainer, the head trainer, I did not want her to rub me out because she would gnaw on my muscles. She would like take a handful of rings and just grind out my muscles. Like, I want to feel something good. I know that massage would be good for my muscles, but I don't want to feel that. But then, I woke up the next day and I felt really good. So then after practice, I was like, yep, can I get a massage, please? I think I got a massage like 3 days a week for a couple of months. It was really nice. I took advantage of that for sure.
Would you classify it as a professional grade massage?
No, it just felt like what I would do, like go get.
Mm-hmm.
No, because if you were to pay someone to give you a massage, and I've only done that once.
I've never. And
I remember what that was like. That's like, no, they really rub you out, and they like deep tissue massage.
Deep tissue.
No. That wasn't a deep tissue massage. That was just, that feels great.
I've never had a deep tissue massage. My friend Rayvon told me about deep tissue massages. they're not fun.
They are not. They don't feel that great. I mean, it's like that same kind of mindset where your muscles get sore. Let's say you have a workout and you do like your legs or something and they're super sore the next day and they kind of hurt. But then some people like that feeling. They're like, oh, that my muscles are so sore, but I love it. Like I love the feeling of sore muscles. It's kind of that same thing. Like you can trick yourself into thinking like that deep tissue feels good because in reality, right, not placebo, but just tricking yourself into thinking it feels really good. Because then you think about the result that you're trying to get. Like, yep, I'm getting closer to that thing that I want, and this feels good towards getting there. But as it's happening, no, it doesn't feel that great. At least to me. Maybe I'm just a wuss.
But I mean, you walk out of that deep tissue massage feeling like slime.
Yes, you feel like Jello for sure. I'm actually really tempted to get another massage at some point. I'll just go to a spa and just have a spa day, That'd be nice.
I do want to get like a professional massage, but like a sensual massage, not a deep tissue massage. One that actually like feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, just unwind, unravel, just go
smoke a joint.
Yeah, just get misted and get a pedicure and they just rub your feet. I was being convinced to go get a pedicure.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I think pedicure is your feet, manicure is your hands. Okay. I was trying to be I was coerced to getting a pedicure. I never ended up doing it, but basically the main talking point was, like it feels really good. They're not gonna like paint your toenails or anything, but they'll like trim them up, make them look good, and the dead skin, the whole rodeo, and then they'll rub your feet, and it feels great. I'm like, well, you know what? That doesn't sound half bad. Just as long as you don't paint my toenails.
You still do that though.
Don't tell anyone. But I do want to get another massage at some point. I feel like that would be really nice, especially now that I've been working out again. And I feel like I've got a lot of knots tied up. You know how like there's them old knots in your muscles that have been there for years.
I hate knots so much.
But here's what I don't like about massages, like the really good deep tissue ones that just get all those knots out of your muscles, is my lower back at my erectors where they tie into my hip and they're about halfway up my back. Like I can get a pretty good massage starting at the halfway point of my back up towards my traps and everything up there, all my delts and scaps and whatever, lats. Lats are still kind of ticklish, but that's what happens is that these knots are super ticklish and super sensitive. And so whenever I would try to get a massage on my lower back and especially the back of my legs, my hamstrings, like you can do the tops of my quads pretty easily, but the backs of my legs and my erectors, no way that's happening. I just can't stop. I can't stop myself from moving and like laughing in pain. Just can't do it.
I'd say that area for me is my traps. Like once you get like when you're
excuse you
when you're laying face down and they're like at your traps, but like right below your traps, like an inch below your traps.
Yeah,
I squirm.
Yeah, that's me with my lower back and my legs. I just can't do it.
The lower back feels so good. I don't move.
I cannot stop myself from moving. If someone tried to like pin me down and massage like my lower back, first of all, nice. But second of all, I cannot. I wouldn't let it happen. It's like getting tickled like right in the side of your rib cage.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love it.
No thanks. No thanks. I'll take that feel good massage every other day of the week. But I feel like it's got to be helpful, to get. I mean, people say that they're knots, but I just think it's just really tight muscles that need to be loosened up, just from wear, right?
You ever had a knot where like you're rubbing the muscle and you can literally rub back and forth on the knot and you feel it like a bump?
I've had that with my forearms.
You've had forearm knots?
Like from pitching. So like I would lift weights. Let's say I was doing something that involved my forearms. Let's say I was carrying heavy weight, and then I would pitch, and I would get really sore in my forearm. The tie-in, like right at the junction of my elbow. It's kind of that bicep forearm tie-in on the inside of your arm. It would get really tight, and I could feel the knot in there. Yeah. And so it would affect my pitching because I couldn't throw the baseball the way that I could. It would just felt really sore. It almost got painful sometimes. And so I could feel that knot in there because combining the weightlifting with the pitching just wasn't good for me. And yeah, I could feel it. Oh, I know that feeling when there's just a big old bump right in the middle of your muscle and you know that it just needs to get out of there. And the second you try to massage it, it hurts. It doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. One person that I do want to have on here, It's James Bills. Gotta have Coach James
I
on.
mean, what? How would we get him on? I don't.
I'll text him. I'll be like, hey, Coach.
You want to do our podcast?
Yeah, you want to talk for an hour? But the reason I bring him up is because during a baseball tournament, I had a knot in my left lat, like on my throwing arm, just in the middle of my lat, which is just the muscle that's on like the side of your ribs. Like if you go past your ribs and keep going back, it's on the side of your under your arm.
It's that lanky muscle that goes down your back on the inside of your rib cage.
And I had a knot in there, and you could literally like push back and forth and feel the knot moving. And we were in Florida, and he was like, "Hey." Like, I was like, Coach, I'm really sore. Like, can you feel around or something? And he found the knot, and he was like, all right, come to my room at 8:30. I was like, okay. I went there, and he grabs a screwdriver and some lotion and his thumb.
Flathead screwdriver or a Phillips?
The butt.
Okay.
Took the butt of a screwdriver, his thumb, and
Imagine he grabs that flathead screwdriver.
I think the Phillips would be worse.
I think the flathead would be worse.
Actually, yeah, because it's got sharp corners.
It's that scraping motion that just doesn't. Yeah, so you got lotion, you got a screwdriver, and he got
his thumb.
The
butt of the screwdriver and his thumb, and he literally just worked it back and forth and like popped it like a pimple. I couldn't move my arm for like a day. But sometimes with knots, you literally have to bust them out and like pop them and break up the muscle and literally damage yourself.
I guess damaging yourself. But he did the exact same thing to me with the forearm thing. I remember I was pitching and I was throwing a bullpen and I got done. And I was like, yeah, like I can't, like I just can't get on top of the ball because my forearm won't let me. And he's like, let me see it. He just takes his thumbs. He just goes to town. He's just like working it really quickly. I was like, oh, I was in pain, obviously, but I was just like, all right, just
get it over with.
Yeah, just hurry, quick. And yeah, it felt better the next day for sure. But yeah, that pain sucks. No fun at all. And that's the thing. I remember in college, you mentioned the hotel room thing. Gosh, staying in hotel rooms for baseball tournaments there's nothing like it.
Yeah, there's some, like in my Snapchat memories.
Or not even baseball tournaments, just like any kind of sports tournament, just going to a hotel and staying there before, for...
If you stay with friends or roommates or like not roommates, teammates.
Yeah.
And just like 4 of y'all in a room every summer. My Snapchat memories are just flooding up with just shit that happens in the hotel room or something like that.
Nothing like it.
One thing that popped up the other day is I went to University of Chicago and we were staying in their dorms one time, and this was back whenever the trend of jumping and hitting your head on exit signs was cool. And so I was like, hey guys, fucking watch this. Dalton, take a video. So I run and I jump up, and the exit sign is made out of pure glass. And I jump up.
It was glass, not plastic?
It was not plastic. And I smacked my forehead on that thing.
And it shattered.
And down I came with glass around me. Glass went everywhere. And so I had to go down to the...
Nice confession. Hopefully University of Chicago is listening.
Yeah, I went down to the front desk and I was like, hey, my bat was in my bag and it got caught on the exit sign, just like busted it. And the lady was like, okay, just 1 second.
Were the cameras in the hallway?
I can't remember, probably. But she was like, let me go get a clipboard so we can do whatever that thing is whenever an incident happens and you write it down.
A referral? I don't know.
A report or something.
Yeah, okay, like whatever kind of report.
But we were standing under the exit sign, and I was telling her what happened. I was like, yeah, we were just walking. My bat caught it. I wasn't even paying attention. We heard it crack. And then my friend on the team, Sean, comes around the corner and goes, hey, Major, that's not why you jump up and hit your head on exit signs, dumbass. And I'm like, oh, my God, this dude just blew my cover.
So what'd she say?
She knew he was right, but like just went along with what I was saying.
No way.
Like, she was like, you're a fucking idiot.
She was like, okay.
Yeah. I went back in the room and I was like, Sean, you motherfucking idiot.
Gosh. I don't think I have any stories like that, but I remember early on, one of my first kind of out-of-town baseball tournaments that I went on, I think it's like my sophomore year of high school, and we were in Huntsville, I want to say.
Huntsville was always a fun one.
Huntsville's a good time, and we're just staying in a regular Holiday Inn. And I was kind of innocent at the time. I was just like, yeah, we're here to play baseball. It's just be fun. And I'm not going to say any names, but so it's the middle of summer. It's actually, no, it was our first baseball tournament. So it was like June 2nd. It was like right in the beginning of summer and still hot, still really hot. It was probably at least 100 degrees that day. And we leave from Austin and we go to Huntsville. It's about a 2-hour-ish drive, maybe a little short, maybe like hour 45. And so we get a U-Haul. So we get vans, like regular white vans.
The Chevy vans that have like 5 rows.
Yeah. So we get one of those vans and we get a U-Haul trailer and we hitch it up to the back of the U-Haul to carry all of our equipment, helmets, bats, bags. And someone decided that they were going to bring weed with them. Now here's the thing. They put it in the U-Haul in the hour 45-minute drive through the heat. And we get there, and Coach opens up the back, and it just reeks. It smelled so bad. And everyone's like, really? Who did it? And then we all kind of knew who it was, and he got in trouble. I think he got sent home in the middle of the tournament.
I could see James doing that.
No, it wasn't James. It was Calvin and Luke.
That was with Calvin?
That was Texas Fire.
Oh, that's ugly.
That was Texas Fire. So
that was ugly.
I think his dad came and got him halfway through the tournament and took him home.
Wait, was that? I think I came to that tournament. There was someone that got picked. Oh wait, no, there was someone else that brought like ecstasy or like Xans to a tournament.
Oh, really?
It was one of your tournaments.
Anyways,
Yeah.
So at the time I was like, wow, I can't believe someone would do that. That's crazy. And then that night I don't think any of us, we didn't have any car. We didn't have any way of getting around. Basically, we could walk to a gas station that was nearby, but there weren't really any. And somehow someone got a hold of about like 5 or 6 Fort Locos, and someone's room, I think about 3 or 4 guys were in it, and they just got drunk right before they went to sleep. I mean, I think curfew it might have been like 11 or 11:30 something.
Always like 11 or midnight.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever got caught, but man, they came to our room and they were smashed. And I was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, what? We're 18? Not even. No, we were like 16 and 17. Like, why are you guys doing this?"
I do remember one trip. We were in Louisiana, and we went to the shittiest La Quinta I've ever stayed at. And
La Quinta's a nice hotel.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
No.
But
It depends on the La Quinta. I'll say that.
some dudes decided to bring, what are those little shots called? Like the little plastic bottles of shots. What are those called? You can get like little fireballs or like little Tito's. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I think they have a name. They're just like, little $1, $2 shots you can get from somewhere.
Yeah, someone brought a bunch of those. They got shit faced, and it was like 2 a.m. and they were like, curfew's always like 11 midnight. It's like 2 a.m. and they're like,
And that just means like you have to be in your room, lights out, in bed, and then your coach would come and check every room to see what's going on.
yeah. It's like 2 a.m. and they're like, hey, I wasn't in this room. I'm just like kind of telling the story. It's like 2 a.m. and they're like, hey, let's go swimming. So they go swimming.
At 2 a.m.
Coach walks out like, what is happening?
At 2 a.m., coach goes to the pool?
Like he was doing room checks, and it was one of those La Quintas where like it has the pool, the courtyard, and then all of the rooms are surrounding it.
Oh, so it was like a pool with a court. Oh, so he probably could see them from the room or something.
Yeah, so we went in their room, saw all the empty bottles. Dude, they got fucked.
Did they play?
Nope, they went home.
Oh, they went home.
Oh yeah, James is just like Calvin.
Wow.
Send him home.
Sent him home. Wow. I'm trying to think of the worst hotel we ever stayed in.
And actually, I have another story from that trip.
Same
It was-
trip.
Same trip.
I remember that Louisiana trip was just bonkers.
Always. In my room, some dudes were like, hey, who wants to smoke some of this shit? And they pull out some weed. And I think I was going into sophomore year. It was the summer of freshman to sophomore year, or the summer of sophomore to junior. No, it was summer. It was sophomore to junior year summer. And I'd smoked a little bit. Like I would say actually by the time sophomore year came around, I really started enjoying weed. But I was like, yeah, I'll take a few hits. And we went in the bathroom. We were all in there. We had the vents on, and we were blowing it into the vents. And I was only there for the first bowl. I took like 2 or 3 hits, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get in bed. I'm gonna pass out if Coach walks in. Y'all are fucked. I was not standing here. And
Man, just leave. You loser.
I took a few hits, went to the bed, just laid there, and then the group chat for our team starts blowing up, and they're like, guys, the whole building smells like weed.
So they were blowing the weed smoke
Into the air vents
so
that go to all the other rooms.
were they in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it works that way. So
Weed is a very potent smell. Even if
Oh,
it
of course.
wasn't into the same air vents that go into the rooms, that smell is going to get around.
right. So I don't think they were blowing it into the catch. So like in most, the way that most air conditioners work is there's going to be like a big grate somewhere, probably on a base level, or even on. I think there's one on at least one level. I'm not an air conditioning technician or anything, but there's a catch. There's a big grate that takes the air from one spot of the building in a pretty big mass, and then it goes through the air conditioner, and whether it's cooling or warming it up, and then sends it out to all the other the releases, the other smaller vents throughout.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're just blowing it up into one of the smaller vents in the bathroom, I think that vent in the bathroom is actually, it is a vent, so you can turn it on and it'll, get the poop smell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're blowing weed smoke in there.
And weed is potent.
Well, I'm sure that I would assume that the smell.
We also took one of the shower caps and put it over the smoke detector. Which now that I look at it now, we could have just taken it off the wall and taken the battery out or something.
I think no. I think hotels have gotten smarter about that. They can tell if you take it down. But anyways, it's odd that the whole hotel smelled like weed.
I mean, like our side of the hotel.
Oh, that entire side of the hotel smelled like weed.
Yeah, like we were in the van the next morning. We're like, there were dudes just like, whose was it? Like, who was doing it? Which room? And I was
Wow.
like, I took a few hits.
Did your coach figure it out?
Did not.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was probably on the other side of the hotel,
I
maybe.
really, really hope he does not listen to this episode.
Well, there's nothing he can do about it now.
Yeah. It's okay. Honestly, part of me wish I never touched weed once in my life. I would be a completely different person. But at the same time, I find a little bit of my peace in weed. Once I do, like I said earlier, I think the human body is really fascinating. So I like to watch YouTube videos on how your body processes this, or like how your body reacts when this happens. And I watched a video about whenever you smoke weed, and I've seen a few of them, but in one of them it was saying whenever you inhale a hit, it's in your bloodstream and going through your body within 7 seconds. And one thing I've noticed over time of smoking weed is like whenever I've gotten it to the point where I only smoke like after work. Like once it's after hours, there's nothing left to do, I can just chill. And I've noticed over time, like you take the first hit and literally 10 seconds later you feel different. And I never knew that until I watched the video and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
But then it's really different from edibles, though.
Oh my God. I've only taken edibles one time and I got pretty high. My friend David, on the other hand, got a little too high. And
But all edibles aren't created equal. I'm not saying this from experience, just from what I've heard and what I've seen people say. Not every edible has the same amount of potency.
yeah, that is very.
They can come from the same batch, too.
Yep.
And they are not the same.
The batch, whenever me and David, we took edibles on 420, and the batch that we took edible ice cream, and the ice cream was actually really good. It was weed flavored vanilla ice cream. So it was like vanilla and weed at the same time. I don't know. It was awesome. But we both ate the whole pint, and the dude that we bought it from was like, hey, I fucked up the measurements on this batch. Trust me, eat half. I ate the whole thing. I'm a tank. I was like, even if I have to eat half, I'm eating the whole thing.
It was ice cream?
Ice cream.
And so how much? It was like a pint of ice cream?
Yeah. And he was like, just trust me, eat half. I said, fuck that. I have a huge tolerance, so even if I ate half, I wouldn't have even gotten that high. But I ate the whole thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, I got to like a strong 8. David, on the other hand, got to like a strong 18.
And he ate the whole thing?
Yeah, we both ate the whole thing. We ate P. Terry's after it. Started playing some GTA.
And nothing was the same.
Nothing was the same. Like 30 minutes later, David's like, I'm too high, bro. Like, I don't want to be this high. And I'm just telling him, like, David, don't think that way. Like, if you think that way, you're going to have a bad high. 15 minutes later, he just, like, I'm sitting there playing GTA, doing whatever. He just books it to the bathroom, like, straight up. And as soon as he got up and ran, I knew in my head, I was like, he is about to yak. And let me tell you, I cleaned it up off the walls, the floor, the toilet. It was everywhere. And I was like, I'm not letting this sit here. And I'm just sitting here like high as fuck, like just scrubbing the walls.
Was that here in the house? Or is
Yeah, dude, that happened on 420.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I remember you mentioning something like that. The only time I've ever seen you do that, and I think I've told this story before. It's a great story, though.
Great story.
So this was about 3 years ago. I think it might have been my senior year of high school. No, not 3, 4 years ago.
You were in the Xterra.
Yeah, so it was my senior year of high school.
I was a freshman. Yeah, that's right.
So you go to spend the night with a friend. Oh,
Actually, I'll hand over the story to you. So I went to my buddy Angus's house, and we get there, and every time I go to Angus's, we know we're going to smoke. And he's like, hey, we're doing dabs today. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, trust me, it's awesome. And I was like, okay. So that night, we did a few dabs, and that was the highest I've ever been in my smoking career. I remember the last thing from that night. I walked in the back door, and my vision was just like a camera shutter. And every time I looked around, it was like taking pictures.
I know what you're talking about.
But wake up the next morning, and they're like, hey, y'all trying to wake and bake? And I was like, sure. So I took 2 dabs, and this is back when my tolerance was shit. Like, it was small. Like, 1 dab is enough. I took 2. Brandt texts me, he's here, trying to find my shoes.
Well, no. So you texted me that morning, and I think it was what, like 10:30, 11ish, coming to pick you up. You're like, can you come pick me up? I'm like, oh, fine. So I drive over there, and I pull up at the front door, and I text you, I'm here.
I'm just trying to find my shoes. I'm just fucking faded. And I had no idea what was going to happen. For breakfast, I had chocolate milk, pink lemonade, and like some kind of Mexican sweetbread. I don't know what it was.
Tres leches.
No, that is amazing though. I love tres leches. But I walk past his dad. I'm like, see ya. He's like, see ya, Major. Have a good one. I step out the door.
And Major comes out the door. I'm like, all right, fine. He's finally here. And I wish at this moment that I was recording, but then there's no way I could have known, right? I was just sitting here waiting for him to come out. He takes 2 steps.
It was the second I closed the door.
He turns around and he just throws up this pink fluid all over the doorstep.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
It was nasty.
It was so much. He just kept going. I was like, oh my gosh. And then he keeps going and going. And there's just so much. I'm like, what just happened? I'm here to pick you up and you just puke on their doorstep.
Yeah, Angus and Leroy came running around the house, around the side with a hose, and they were like, my dad's like, what the fuck is happening?
You just puked all over their doormat.
Yeah,
and then
I was really lucky that you were picking me up. If Dad was picking me up, I never go back to Angus's.
Gosh. You just puke, and I'm like, okay, make sure you get it all out of you before you get in my car. You're like, no, I'm done. I swear I'm good. So you get in, I'm like, all right, keep your window down. I don't want you puking in my car. And I was like, what in the hell? Why was it pink? And you're like, it's pink lemonade. It's probably pink lemonade. And I didn't get out of my car. I just kind of sat there and watched you throw up. I was like, what's going on? And then people come running around with the hose and start spraying it off. And yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. It's those times that we live for.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I wish I had taken the video. I really do. It would have been amazing. And I would send it to you every year. It comes up in my Snapchat stories.
I would appreciate it. God, the best things are never on video.
That's the thing, though. Is like there's more and more things that are because there's so many cameras around taking videos of things that you would never see before. But, man, can you imagine, like, 40 years ago, or just all of history. Like the craziest things you wouldn't believe happened unless you had a video of it.
Unless you saw it, you wouldn't believe it. There's so many stories that people are just like, shut the fuck up.
Like that never happened. But it's also funny because a lot of times they'll come from someone who just says like the craziest story.
Yeah, they just want attention.
They just make up these stories. Like, okay, whatever. But then every once in a while, someone's like, yeah, like this guy was in the street and he got hit by this tire that was just rolling down the road and he died. You could see his blood everywhere. And then the cops came and he caught on fire. Like, what? Like this, that's impossible. That didn't happen. I don't believe you. Like, whatever. But like,
I've seen videos of tires rolling down the highway, and like there was a video of like someone that drove past a gas station and their tire came off and went in the front and then wrapped all the way around the pumps, did another 180 around the pumps, and then just nailed the side of someone's car. And like there was a huge ass dent, and the caption was, "Explain this to your insurance."
right. Yeah. So things you wouldn't believe, but you know, it's happening more and more now, which is, I guess, a good and a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, things that I guess I guess mostly it's a good thing. I don't know why I thought like, well, maybe it could be a bad thing. These guys get caught now for doing something stupid, but then we all do stupid things, right? And then, 40 years ago, there weren't really any repercussions for doing something stupid because you ever heard of lawn darts?
Lawn darts? I think I've heard of that.
It's just these big old darts that people play. It's like what we would do 10 years ago when we're just trying to find something to do. We're just bored in the middle of the summer. They get these big old darts and they just throw up in the air.
Like arrow roulette.
Exactly. It is. People just play arrow roulette, right?
That's stupid. I would never play arrow roulette.
Arrow roulette.
If y'all know what arrow roulette is, if y'all have seen Grown Ups, it's the
Grown-Ups.
game where they take the bow and arrow and they shoot the arrows straight up, and the last person to run away wins. I would never. That touches your head coming down like that.
You're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah.
It's gonna pierce through your skull, through your brain, come out your ass.
But anyways, like people just doing stupid stuff in public, or like vandalizing stuff, whether it was intentionally or not. A lot of people would get away with stuff like that. But now it's a lot harder because there's a lot more video cameras, and there is no better form of indisputable evidence than video.
Yeah. This is a little off topic from what we were talking about, but what do you think about graffiti? Like, what's your opinion on it?
I think I would never do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't care for it that much, but I get it. I can see why people do it.
I think,
but just like have a place to do it. You know what I mean? Like do it, like the graffiti wall off of over by 10th Street downtown.
Yeah, that place is cool.
I forget what it was called. And I say was because it was a thing. It's gone now.
Really?
They tore it down and they're going to build something there now. But
that land is worth a lot of money.
I guess it's like, I don't know, I think they called it Graffiti Park or something. Like if there's a place where you can go and, it's kind of a creative thing where people can just graffiti stuff. Mm-hmm. That's nice. But then,
it also, at the same time, it is vandalizing, but I think some graffiti looks cool as shit. Like it's art. It really
like, is. No, it is art. Like I get it. Like I totally understand it.
One thing I think.
But then graffitiing like the sides of people's businesses. So then now they have to like spend money to have to get repainted. It's like, really, you're just kind of being a dick. You know what I mean?
I think people should just go all out on the sides of trains. Like when you're driving down the highway and there's a train just covered in graffiti, I'm staring at it the whole time. Like sometimes I just try to read the names. Like you can't even.
I can't even read them half the time.
The tags. Whenever someone puts their name or like their initials or whatever their name they go by for graffiti, it's called their tag.
Yeah.
You can't even read the tag. I guess that's the point.
Then sometimes there's graffiti in places. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, how did you get there? Like underneath the side of a bridge, you'll see like graffiti. Like, how did you do that? Did you like suspend yourself? Did you need like 3 people holding a rope trying to make sure you didn't die trying to graffiti this? And then also another part about graffiti that I kind of don't like, and I have a pretty good example of it, was about maybe a month and a half ago. There was a billboard at 29th and Quad. It's one of the more popular billboards just because of the amount of traffic that goes through there. It's one of those billboards that has they switch, and there's 3 of them. So they have 3 different ads on the same billboard. And so they switch every 10 seconds or so.
That is innovation.
Now here's the thing. Someone climbed up there and graffitied the billboard, but they did this elaborate graffiti on just one side
of the flip.
of the flipping.
So
I mean, just
only
one side. So somehow they were able to graffiti that thing. They timed it out.
every time it flipped, they would do a little bit and wait for it to flip again.
That would make the most amount of sense. But then there was nothing. There was no evidence of graffiti on any of the other two billboards. It was just the one. I think it was like a Corona ad or something, or a Bud Light ad. But I was like, really? That's someone's billboard. Like, I get it. It's kind of a huge company, and then it's not a big deal to them that their billboard got graffitied. But also at the same time, like,
that's money.
you're just being a dick. Like, you're just being a dick. Do it somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it's definitely vandalism.
Yeah.
But then how do you get away with that? Especially when there's a gas station right across the street covered in cameras.
Yeah.
And the shoe store also covered in cameras. And I just don't know. Maybe someone did get caught for it. I don't know. But I feel like that takes nuts, though.
That takes serious nuts.
To climb up there and so everyone that drives by can see you just graffitiing the side of this billboard. And then I would have assumed that people would probably call the police like, hey, there's someone graffitiing on this billboard.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, but I'm sure someone out there. See, that's the one thing. Whenever I smoke weed in public, I always ask the people around, hey, y'all mind if we smoke? Never been shot down. I've only had people say, yeah, and then they leave like 15 seconds later. But the one thing that I'd always be paranoid about with smoking weed in public is someone calling the cops and being like, oh, they're smoking weed.
Right.
But now that I think about it, and that originated more in high school, being a minor and not really knowing the world. But one thing I've realized, no one really gives a fuck. Like, if you want to smoke a joint, go smoke a joint. No one's going to stop you. And with the new changing of the laws, I'm not saying what's coming in the future, but like with our current laws, you can have up to, I think, 3 or 4 ounces, and it's personal consumption.
Really?
Even though
On a national level or in the state?
I know in the state of Texas, you can have up to 3. It's either 3 or 4 ounces. That's personal consumption.
But then you still get a ticket for it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like 10 years ago, you have 3 or 4 ounces, you're getting locked up for 20 years for dealing.
Right.
Even though there are people out there that smoke 3 or 4 ounces as personal consumption.
Right.
There's people out there that buy ounces at a time, and that only lasts them 5 days because they smoke so much.
You ever seen that interview with Wiz Khalifa?
Oh my god,
It's so funny.
I love that interview.
It's hilarious. So he does a lie detector test, and the guy was asking, I'm sure most people have seen this, is like, the guy asked him, are you high right now? He's like,
For sure.
He's like, did you smoke before you got here? He's like, yeah. Like, he was actually asking him, how often do you smoke?
Yeah.
He's like, do you smoke before you go to bed? He's like, yeah. Do you smoke right after dinner? He's like, yeah.
Do you smoke in the middle of the night? Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
In the middle of the night.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But then they asked him, like, is it true that you spend like $12,000? Was it a month or a week? I think it was a month.
It was a month.
Like, do you spend
$12,000 a month on weed? And he was like, it's probably more now.
Yeah, seriously. That's so much.
And that video was taken like a few years ago. It's probably more now.
I mean, can you imagine being high just about every second of every day?
Yes.
You could imagine that.
No, actually, I could not do that.
Would you want to?
Definitely not. Because sometimes you get to a point when you've been high for a really long time and you're like, all right, I'm ready to get off the ride. But like the ride's like,
no. It's not over.
It's not over. That's the thing about edibles.
That's like the same thing with being drunk too. You're like, okay, I'm done being drunk. But nope, drunk's not done being with you.
Yeah. I think it was Josh Wolf. He's a stand-up comedian. He was like, they should put this on edible packages. You can always, it's like, it's something about like how much of the edible you eat. It's like you can always eat more, but you can never eat less. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. If you've never done edibles, do be cautious. They can really, really change your night.
And that saying, that point of advice kind of goes with anything that messes with your cognitive ability or just, takes your mind somewhere else other than being sober. Mm-hmm. That you can always have more, but you can't ever have less.
Yeah.
So whether it's painkillers or drinking or weed or whatever it is that messes with your psyche, then yeah, I mean, it's true for all things.
Yeah.
And especially whenever I would have a handful of drinks, I would think like, oh yeah, like I'm totally fine. I probably need like 2 or 3 more, and then I'll be good. Then I'll be like in the zone. I'll be all right. But then it starts to hit me. I'm like, oh wait, I already had too much. Because that's the thing though, is like especially with edibles and then drinking, it takes a little while
For
your
it to kick in.
right, for the process for your body like to take it, and then it finds its way in your bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you smoke it, it's almost instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you smoke and then within 5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes, you'll feel how much high you have.
Right. But then drinking, it
could
depends. It depends how much is already in your stomach, but also that goes with edibles too.
Yeah.
So it just depends how long it takes your body to process it. But then it's that period where you're like, man, I'm not really feeling anything.
And
Maybe
as soon as you take that next bite of the edible, that next shot, that next sip,
whatever it is. Yeah.
I fucked up.
You're like, yep, I am not where I want to be right now.
And then you get to that point, at least with drinking, everyone that drinks has been at this point where you're just huddled over the toilet like, please God, I'll never drink again.
Just this is it. This is the last time.
This is the last time I drink.
I've had that moment a couple of times.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
But then I would say in most cases, I'm like, I would say that I would always drink in the evening before, whether it was a Friday, Saturday night, and, with a handful of people, and we kind of drink throughout the night, and it gets to about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I probably had a drink within the last hour or so. I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I want to go to bed, but I can't go to bed like this. And I don't get people that can go to bed drunk.
I can't go to bed drunk
I
because you sit there
cannot.
spinning, and it makes you just.
That's the thing though. I get the same way too. So if I am drunk and I try to lay down, I'm like, okay, it's whatever, 2:30 in the morning. I need to go to sleep, and I start to lay down. My head starts spinning.
Your body it feels like you're doing 360s.
Yeah, and then if I put my head down, in a lot of cases for more than like 10 seconds, I will throw up, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why. Just getting horizontal and putting your head down, you just feel like you're gonna puke, but as soon as you stand up, you're like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Well, yeah, so
Maybe I'll just start sleeping standing up.
I can see why that happens, just because gravity.
Yeah, but some people call it the spins. Like, oh, I love the spins.
I hate the spins.
Do you get the spins when you smoke?
I've had it. You can kind of get it in a different way, but yes, you can get it in the same way where you just feel like you're spinning, and that's what leads you to green out. Green out is the term for throwing up from smoking.
And so that can happen when you smoke. So if you smoke and you're pretty high and you try and go to sleep, it's hard for you.
No.
I know a lot of people are like, dude, I love smoking and then just going straight to sleep.
Exactly. I smoke to go to sleep. Smoking puts me to sleep. It's just, you'll get to the spins point if you're at that. I'm too high. I want to get off the ride.
Right.
Yeah. My next thought just left my head.
That's okay. But no, that all makes sense. It's just funny that I'm surprised that people haven't tried doing like alcohol that you can smoke or something like that. Just instantaneous drunkenness. I feel like that would be a little too much. I feel like some people would start dying that shouldn't have died from alcohol poisoning.
Probably.
I think people were talking about that, like creating like
smoking alcohol,
like a different way to take alcohol, like an injectable alcohol. Like if you're gonna take heroin,
bro, are you trying to smoke this Tito's?
like put this straight in my veins, bro. Take that alcohol and just put it right in there.
I was in the smoke shop the other day. I was getting some wraps, and the person in front of me, I know exactly what they bought and what it was for. I've never seen someone buy one in front of me, but this man got a crack pipe. And
How do you know it was a crack pipe?
Do you know what a crack pipe looks like?
Is it just like whenever I think of crack or cocaine that people smoke, I just think of a spoon.
That's part of the heating up process. Not that I know anything about this. I do not ever want to do that. But it's like the little ball with the stick coming out of it.
Yeah.
That's a crack pipe. But yeah. Well, he was checking out. I was just looking at the wraps, trying to figure out what I want in my mind. And I hear a car alarm go off in the parking lot. And it sounded just like my car. And I was like, well, that's not happening today. So I like walk over to the door, and the dude was like, yeah, me too. He like walked up right behind me as we're both looking out the door, and it was like on the other side of the parking lot. And
So he was sketching out?
Yeah, he was sketching out. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
What?
nuts.
One thing I actually did, or a video I watched about crack, that that joke that people have about like they're scratching their arm, like, "Yeah, man, you got some crack."
Right.
That's actually a real thing.
Well, yeah.
The scratching is because when that imbalance is in your brain from not having the crack, your brain will make you think that you have bugs under your skin. So
What?
that it's actually a thing.
Like people think they have bugs under their skin.
Yeah, that's why they scratch.
Just bugs. It couldn't be anything else as bugs.
I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff that they could think it is, but it's
So
all
people think that there's something underneath their skin. That's why they're scratching.
yeah, it's all psychological. That's crack fucks you up.
That's nuts. That is so nuts. I wonder if you get that way with heroin.
I feel like any addiction can be that way, but they'll
Almost
have their own ways.
Well, the opioids are I would say that they're different in that way. So heroin would be one of those, and I don't think cocaine is not an opioid.
Fuck no.
And also, kind of make a distinction between crack and actual cocaine.
Crack and cocaine are close, but they're not the
They're
same.
very, very similar.
But they're not the same thing.
And it's interesting where you're like, oh, I'm going to do some cocaine. Like you're some guy on Wall Street. Like, yeah, let's do some cocaine. But as soon as you call it crack, it's like impoverished people that are doing bad things, right?
Yeah, the difference between crack and cocaine is the powder that you smoke, and with crack,
Well, you can turn crack or cocaine into.
You turn cocaine into crack. Crack is cocaine. Crack cocaine. So
Well, okay, so that's what politicians say.
with crack, they just take regular cocaine and then they add stuff to it so it can get to a boiling point and melt. Because the only way to do pretty much the only way to do cocaine efficiently is to snort it. But when you turn it into crack, then you can smoke it and inject it or however you want to do it.
So I'm looking this up real quick just to be sure. If I remember correctly, the difference between crack and actual cocaine would just be a micromolecule inside of the drug itself. It's like one element off, or maybe one strand of elements off from being the exact same thing. And I don't know which one is worse for you or which one has different effects. Not the person to be talking about this, but if what I've read thus far and what I know is that they're very similar, and the fact that you can get completely, like, if you get charged for having crack versus having cocaine, it's completely way worse.
But it's basically the same thing.
It's so different. It's just putting strong words, strong association with something. I don't know. I mean, people kind of, it's like in the 60s and the 70s and what I would say our parents know nowadays about weed and their angst against it. It's like they've been trained to think that it's the worst thing ever and you can't ever do it. And
that actually brings me to my next point. I saw a meme where it was like, how about we stop letting lawmakers who haven't smoked weed make the laws about weed? That is the most true fucking thing I've ever read. Because most people say, like, weed is the devil. It's so bad for you. It's terrible. It's going to change who you are. Weed is cool. Weed is awesome. Like,
it's honestly, it's no different than getting drunk, except getting drunk actually kills people.
Literally. Like, all high people want to do is get a bag of chips and watch TV. All drunk people want to do is throw lime scooters off their balcony.
And punch people.
Exactly.
And smash their hands in doorways.
God, think about how different the world would be if there was, instead of weed being illegal, alcohol was illegal and weed was the one that everyone did.
I feel like we would be in a much better place.
We would be in a way better place.
And it would just make more sense. But once, something has already been in effect for so long, it's so hard to reverse that and turn it around. Because people don't like changing.
No one.
Don't like reversing what they already know.
Mm-hmm.
Adapt. Overcome. Did I say that right?
I think you skipped one.
I did. No, it's survive.
No,
it's
improvise,
adapt,
overcome.
Yeah, people can't do that sometimes. It's hard, and I know that I have that problem sometimes too, where it's like, no, that's different. I don't like it.
I usually don't have a problem with change because sometimes change can be really good, but
of course, yeah,
change sucks.
A lot of change sucks, but especially when it's changed for the good, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, whenever you can't see the good in the change, that's actually the best change because you'll realize later down the road, you're like, that was a good idea. Or like, that was.
But no, here's the thing, though. We're going to see how it plays out in Oregon. We're going to figure out if that was a good idea or not.
All those people are about to be driving down the highways like it's Rainbow Road.
I mean, that was what, almost a year ago? Or was it a year ago?
I haven't heard any bad things going on.
I haven't heard much either.
But, I mean,
haven't
that
heard
might
much.
be saying something. We haven't heard anything.
But that's the thing, though, is like making all these things illegal creates the crime. It creates the need because people still want the drugs. People still want to do them. It's like
You're just making it harder.
Like not only making it harder, but you're incentivizing people to do what you call quote unquote crime, because it's like during the Prohibition when alcohol was legal, people still did it. There were speakeasies and people were doing it illegally.
Moonshine. That's
Right.
why moonshine was invented.
It probably was. I mean, I don't know, but you're putting people away and arresting people for doing things that they would have done otherwise. And the only reason that they are where they're at is because you decided that whatever drink was illegal. And, you're just making it worse. And like I said, we'll see how it plays out in Oregon. I'm not for and I'm not against, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Just want to see what happens. It's a great experiment. We can just shove it up there in the northwest corner of the map and just say, figure it out. Don't F with anyone. Just let's see what happens. That's our little experiment, and we'll just put them in a corner. Just make them do it, and then everyone else can figure it out for themselves.
I got a good closing thought. Have you seen the movie Minority Report?
Yes.
I think I like that movie a lot. It's with Tom Cruise, and it's from like the late 80s.
No, it's like 2000.
Really?
It's either 99 or 2000.
It's a movie about a police force that operates from the future, and
2002. Dang it, I should have known that.
they call themselves the pre-crime district. And so what they do is people that go in history for murdering this person or something like that, they travel back in time and arrest that person right before they shoot that person or right before they kill that person. So then, like in the movie, it brings up this whole idea of
Moral conflict.
this moral conflict of like, is it wrong to arrest someone that hasn't done the crime, but we know in the future that they're going to?
Especially based on how our laws are today. I mean, you can't arrest someone for almost doing something. It's like if, like our dad, he got a ticket once for a cop saw him pull up the stop sign, right? But he didn't actually stop until he saw the cop, and then he stopped. And then the cop pulled him over. And he gave him a ticket for running the stop sign, but then
He didn't run it.
he didn't run the stop sign. He almost did, but he didn't. So then he contested it, and obviously the cop didn't show up to court, and then the judge threw it out because he didn't actually run the stop sign.
Yeah.
So in the same sense, that idea, it wouldn't work just because literally they haven't done it yet. But then if you can, maybe you could prove that in the future, if time travel was a real thing, if you could prove that they were going to do it and that in this timeline, whatever, that they are going to do it, then maybe you could arrest them. But maybe
there's a lot of moral conflict.
it's kind of a weird thought, and it's a good thought.
It's good food for thought.
It's a good brain exercise. I would say no. I would say you'd have to arrest them in the timeline where they did the crime, and then because what if in that moment they decide to change their mind? Because if you interfere, if you whatever butterfly effect something in one timeline, maybe they end up not doing it altogether.
Yeah, but then another thing I thought about with Minority Report is like, why don't they just wait until they commit the crime and then like, hey?
But what if they kill someone?
That sucks.
That sucks.
I'm just kidding.
It's like either you stop this person from killing this person or let it happen and then arrest them. And then it would have been the same outcome either way because you were going to arrest them for killing someone.
Yeah. I think it's been fun.
Okay. I guess Major's done.
I am done. I want to go smoke.
And you want to put on a shirt too.
I was actually cold when we started, but now it's hot in here.
It's not hot in here.
It is hot in here.
Okay, turn on the fan.
You have 2 shirts and jeans on.
And I feel just fine.
If I turn the fan on, I'm going to get cold.
If you turn on the fan, I think it would blow into the microphones. That's kind of why I don't turn them on.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You ever do that where like if you're hot, you turn the fan on, you get cold in like 2 minutes, and then you turn the fan off and you get hot in 2 minutes?
No, because if I'm hot, I turn on the fan and then I just deal with it. Because I'd rather be cold than hot, personally. Because I can always put on layers.
That is true.
Anyways.
It's been a fun time.
It's been awesome. Wait, hold on, not that one. This one.
Wrong one, dumbass.
Sorry, I was just pressing buttons. No, stop it. Don't press with that. Don't mess with that.
All right, well, catch us next episode. We didn't even say the episode number.
We don't have to. Let's just not say it anymore. It's just another day in the life.
All right.
Or you can say the number. I don't care. It's,
I don't remember what I think it's 13.
all right.
It's 14.